Welcome to the Immigration.ca live stream series. My name is Andrea, and I'm here with immigration lawyer Colin Singer. Colin is managing partner of Immigration.ca. Colin is also managing partner of Global Recruiters of Montreal, our in-house employment search consulting enterprise. Our main topic today is going to be how to find a job in Canada. Thank you very much for bearing with us. We just had a small technical error, so we're going to continue right now. So before we get started, we'll quickly mention express entry draws. The last express entry draw was on March 1st, so the CRS score was 434. So we do anticipate another express entry draw shortly. So Colin,
Yeah, we've been obviously a 3-week period since the last draw. We've seen healthy numbers in each draw for the beginning of the year, declining CRS scores, so our fingers are crossed. Maybe there'll be a draw today. It's happened before where the government has held a draw on a Thursday or even a Friday. So we've got a couple of hours left in the week, and we'll be watching and waiting. Right. So let's head in to today's topic, which is how to find a job from outside Canada. A big challenge for many individuals, yes, obviously.
Right. So, those applying under express entry, there's the two main classes, the Federal Skilled Worker Program as well as the Skilled Trades Program. So obviously,
those are the two bigger categories that we obviously want to cover. We're certainly, what we're going to talk about today also includes individuals applying under provincial nomination programs under express entry, or the Canadian Experience class. So, if you're in the Canadian Experience class, you're hopefully working in Canada, and this has a limited application for you. But the broad categories of federal skilled worker, talk to our viewers on recap what we've talked about during our last live stream. What are the main categories? How does the system work in terms of coding your occupation?
Okay, so to qualify under express entry, you need to have 1 year full-time work experience under a qualifying occupation. So in order to determine if you have a qualifying occupation, you need to go to the NOC code, which is a National Occupational Classification. So there's A, B, and 0 that qualify. So NOC 0 occupations are, for example, managerial occupations. NOC A, that would be those occupations requiring university degrees.
Right.
And then there's NOC-B. So those would be occupations that require, for example, a college degree.
Right. In a summary sense, for a layman's description, the A occupations are more or less the professional positions: lawyers, accountants, doctors, architects, engineers, and other professional types requiring a degree of education. And then there's the B occupations, again, are the technical and skilled trades. Mm-hmm. Anyone who's going in the skilled trades category, their occupation would be coded under one of the larger B categories of occupations. You can find all of this under a really great tool that we use. It's the tool that we referred to in our last live stream. Yes. We're going to include a link in our today's presentation. Once it's uploaded, we will include a link on YouTube and I think on Facebook as well. So you'll have access to a wonderful tool that gives you an overview of the descriptions of the various occupations. Again, when you're applying for express entry immigration to Canada and you're going in under the either the federal skilled or the trades occupations, really, it doesn't preclude you from looking for positions that are slightly different than your background.
Exactly.
You're not bound to finding a job that is going to, exactly replicate the application that you're submitting under express entry. What we're talking about is how to practically find a job. Obviously, it has to be related to what you're going to be submitting your application under, because that's what you're most employable under. So what we're doing is we're giving people some perspective on the number of occupations that are covered in this broad category, 347, and how to go about actually looking for the description on what it takes to get employed,
Yeah.
the education you generally need. But when you're actually putting practice into operation, you don't need to be worried that you're only looking for positions that match the application that you've uploaded to the Express Entry system or that you're going to plan to upload. So it doesn't need to be so rigidly tied because when you go into the system, the tool that we've been referring to,
Yes.
there's many sub-occupations that are classified, and you can go and look in many of the various sub-occupations. So we don't want people to be so rigidly tied to the application description that they're preparing. They can enlarge the scope of occupations that they're going to try to consider for employment purposes. Let's talk about one of the most important parts of this process.
So that would be your CV, your resume. So both your digital one as well as the physical copy that you'll be creating that you could obviously send a scanned copy by email.
You know, one doesn't, they both are important. So when you're looking for a great application, you want to have, of course, a LinkedIn profile. We often refer to the digital online version really by your LinkedIn profile. And there's some fabulous tools out there. There's these publications called dummy guides. They're a great publication, and you can find an excellent product for how to make a LinkedIn online persona, and there's an excellent dummy guide specifically for your LinkedIn profile. We refer people to that. Of course, when we're preparing digital applications and online versions and written, we also prepare a LinkedIn profile for all our applicant clients. So just summarizing really the important elements of the written version.
Okay.
Let's talk about the important elements, what goes on top of a CV.
Well, that would be your name and your contact details.
It's important to include the contact details. Many people just put their name, an email address, and a telephone number.
Yeah.
You don't need your civic city address or wherever you're living. You don't need to put that on the top, but you surely want to have your email ID.
Yes.
Let's talk to them about an important email ID consideration.
Yeah, just make sure your email ID is short, concise, and then obviously don't put too many numbers at the end. If you can make it your name, that would be great. But obviously, make sure that an employer is that's the first thing they're going to see. So make sure that it's something that
something appropriate.
Yes.
What we want you to take away from this particular short descriptive is don't put inappropriate email IDs as part of your application process. If you have an email ID that is what we will call inappropriate, it's not a good way to start off your job search. So ditch email IDs that are inappropriate, and you can go online and find out what is an appropriate email ID and what is not. Make it really simple. Have it tied to your name if possible, your name and perhaps a year of birth, whatever the situation might hold. And again, at the top of your resume, your contact details really clearly laid out. Some of the resumes that we prepare have an opening statement, a profile, we call it a profile, what you have done and what you can do for the employer. Now, for every job you're going to apply for, you're going to tailor-make your profile to that particular position. Obviously, you're going to have a range of positions that you're looking to apply for, and you're going to want to tailor-make your profile opening statement. It's not mandatory, but we often do include a nice short profile. From there, you've got your education, obviously with your most current accomplishments, then followed by your work experience. We use the chronological.
Or the reverse. So your most recent at the top, and then follow. So from most recent to least recent.
So again, short descriptions of your work experience. Very important to use forceful verb descriptions.
Right.
So use one word, start off each sentence. We like to do this, where you start off each description with an impactful verb, managed, all of these types of description where you're using a verb that describes what you've done. You begin each sentence. Again, what we just talked about earlier, very briefly, you want to tailor-make. It's not one resume for every single position.
Exactly. So it needs to be tailored to each job you're applying for, because obviously that shows that you've gone through and you've researched the company, you've researched the position, and you took the time to tailor your experiences accordingly to the job.
Right. In terms of going about the types of positions that you'll be looking for, we look to research companies by broad industry. So there's a number of tools in Canada where you can identify broad industries, and you want to be approaching companies in your industry. Now, each company, you want to put the time, look at the hiring trends that your particular employer that you're looking to approach has been undergoing. You'll get a sense of where they're headed sometimes. There's a lot of useful information on a company's website. You'll be able to see positions that might be currently open. You'll be able to take a look at perhaps an industry direction where they're headed, and you'll be able to gauge whether this is an up-and-coming potential employment opportunity. Let's talk about hiring managers. Again, It's not good to direct your messages and your applications to the personnel department. That generally doesn't go very far. So if you can identify a hiring manager, this is a bit more strategic. It's a bit more direct, because the person who's going to be ultimately making a decision is who you want to be contacting. What we like to do, and I certainly emphasize this with our search consultants, is that you want to contact by phone wherever possible. More difficult, how do you maximize your chances to reach a hiring manager by phone? You want to do this early in the day. Earliest part of your day. Some hiring managers, many people are in the office by 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. That's the time you want to try to get through the phone, get into their personal phone mail, call them, and if you're lucky to reach them, that's golden. And the key is a 40-second introduction conversation. Whatever you want to convey, you need to practice this, prepare a script, and you need to be able to summarize everything you're looking to achieve in a 40-second phone call. If you reach the hiring manager, and that's golden if you can do that, it does happen occasionally, you want to be able to reach them and give a very concise 40-second message. People don't have 2-3 minutes to listen to what you have to say. So you want to prep them why you're calling them, what you're looking to achieve, and you're going to give them a follow-up in your discussion. You're going to be able to tell them what they can look for, and that's really, if you can accomplish all of that, that's a successful phone call. Now, if you can't reach them by phone, email is second best.
Exactly.
What do they need to do with email?
Obviously, as Colin mentioned, you need to keep it concise as well. So 40 seconds for a phone call, but for an email, maybe 3 to 4 sentences. Obviously, in the subject line, you can include your name and the position that you're looking to apply to, for example. And obviously, tailor those 3 to 4 sentences. Keep them concise. You know that this person's getting tons of emails, so you want to be able to stand out.
Another important point that I'd like to emphasize, and we again encourage all our clients who are looking for work, again, it's difficult when you're outside Canada, focus on outlying cities. Everybody wants to work in the major cities. Of course, Toronto is the major recipient of applicants applying for immigration to Canada. So instead of focusing your efforts on the Toronto or Calgary, Vancouver, Montreal, you'll find the success rate is significantly higher if you're looking for companies that are really in the outlying areas. What does that imply? Well, it means in some instances, first of all, you're going to find employers who are much more receptive to you. And it means ultimately you're going to be looking at this as a two-step process, because if you're successful in finding an employer in an outlying area, and ultimately your goal was to settle in a Toronto or a Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton, well, you'll be able to do that later on. If perhaps the initial position that you were lucky to succeed in may not be ultimately where you want to settle. Again, we don't have restrictions in mobility in Canada.
No.
You can move around without any formality.
Right.
So for many individuals, the pathway to Canada on finding a job from overseas is doing this in a two-step process, meaning focus on the outlying areas. You will see a much different response than if you're contacting employers in the major cities. So you're researching companies by industry, you're looking for websites, you're looking for companies who are in outlying areas. Go and look at the area code, the telephone numbers, where you'll be able to determine exactly where these companies are located. We like to tell people to visit Canada,
Yes,
right?
that makes a big difference.
And if they can time their visit to Canada, when you're on the phone with a particular employer, if you could get through to an employer, or if you're relegating to a second best email communication, it's always best to try to visit Canada and time your visits to coincide with your employment search. So at least you can be, you're standing out from others who are applying for a job, but you're actually saying to an employer, I'm going to be in your area during the week of. This is very impacting, and it really makes a difference on the success rate if you can coincide your application, your communications with employers, with an actual planned visit to Canada.
Yes.
Now, try these particular suggestions. You will see it makes a very big difference on the overall success rate. There's another interesting strategy that many of our clients can follow, and that's, of course, you've got job fairs in Canada,
Yeah.
where you'll have employers. We've been, just last week, we were at a major job fair in Montreal. We are often requested to attend fairs, and we attended one at one of the local universities here. It was a really well-attended fair. But you'll see job fairs. Employers are on hand looking for potential candidates. So if you can identify the job fairs that are taking place during the year, interestingly enough, many of the provinces are conducting job fairs overseas. So take a look at the various provincial sites, take a look at their immigration programs, and you'll see there's a lot of recruitment efforts taking place in Europe, in Asia, in the Philippines, for example. Major job fairs take place there. Obviously, it's periodically done during the year. But if you can attend a job fair, which are provincial sponsored, many employers take part in these job fairs at the invitation of a provincial immigration program. So it's sometimes you'll be able to benefit from perfect timing, where you're going to actually be able to meet a particular employer. From a general perspective, the job search process, finding a job from outside Canada, obviously a difficult task. So we want to give people general tips in terms of creating daily goals. It's easy to get discouraged, and you can't expect to find a job on the first go. So this might take hold over many sessions, many hours of work. Persistence?
Persistence is key. It's very important. I mean, don't give up. You need to just keep sending out your applications. You just need to keep trying.
And you need to follow up with employers on a regular basis. So you've got to be very structured, very organized in terms of creating daily goals. Once you've set out, you might want to contact many hundreds of employers that you've identified in your industry. So you want to be able to follow up with those employers. What you don't want to do is just say, I've made these applications, I haven't heard back, I guess there's no jobs available. That would be the most short-sighted and incorrect way of going about the job search. Just because you haven't heard back from a particular employer on a positive level doesn't mean there isn't a job available. It means they're either busy or the timing isn't right. So it's a question of timing, and you need to be persistent in maintaining contact. If you can establish an email communication with a particular hiring manager,
yes.
It may not be opportune when you're contacting, but it helps you stand out for later on, should you be in a position to actually visit Canada, and then you can follow up. So these are from our point of view, it's easy to give up, it's easy to get discouraged, but being persistent and following up on a regular basis it's crucial. Let's talk to our viewers on what we do for all of our clients at immigration.ca.
Okay, well, so we provide our clients with a Canadian-style resume, a cover letter, as well as a database of at least 500 potential hiring employers in their field. So the database of potential hiring employers is tailored to each client. So obviously we look at their credential, we communicate with our client to see what industries obviously they're interested in as well, and we create a tailor-made database for them. We also include videos, tutorials, tips, and basically we want to help our clients stand out from the crowd. We want them to maximize their chances to come to Canada.
That's the key, is we really have an effective and extensive knowledge and experience in helping you stand out from others who are applying for jobs. In addition to being what we would consider skilled immigration lawyers and skilled immigration professionals, we're quite knowledgeable and skilled in how to go about finding work in Canada. We're often working with employers. We get contacted on a frequent basis by employers who are looking for candidates. Often we're able to match up existing candidates in our database with potential employers, but we're often recruiting, going out and actively looking for employers. So what we're sharing with you today is really what we see as how to maximize your chances and really how to stand out. We often have employers contacting us, and then we're working with candidates to really nail the interview. How do you nail that interview? So there's really great tools, and we've got excellent videos in our products that we share with all our clients. So I think you'll find the material quite useful. Again, it's not a science, and you need to have good conditions converging all together in order to succeed. But overall, I think viewers will find that our products are really insightful and in many cases quite useful and successful. Did we cover everything?
I believe, yes, we've covered everything. So, if you're interested in coming to Canada, please go to our website, immigration.ca, and complete our free online evaluation form. We'll then get back to you with regards to your options. And obviously, if you want to stay up to date with the latest developments in the Canadian immigration news, you can always follow us and like us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and you can watch we do have our previous live streams on our Facebook and our YouTube page if you'd like to watch those as well.
So we're going to watch out for the next express entry draw, hopefully today, maybe tomorrow, but I would gather to say surely another draw this month. We're going to have our next live stream in approximately 2 weeks. Stay tuned for that. We'll let everyone know. And, well,
that's it. Well, thank you very much. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and look forward to seeing you again soon.